1 year ago, tragedy on Table Rock Lake.
And it became clear that this is no rescue. This is going to be a recovery.
During this hour-long special, what first responders saw when they arrived on scene.
The look of terror on his face, because he had just been involved and witnessed all that, and that's something that I will never forget.
The vivid memories from hospital staff.
There was moms and dads looking for their children. There were children looking for their moms and dads.
We were anticipating receiving a large amount of patients, but we did not. And the reason why was because so many had drowned.
17 people lost their lives when the duck boat sank during a storm.
After my patient found out that his mom and his brother were confirmed deceased, he wanted to tell me about the story of the day that his brother was born.
An investigation still underway today.
And all of a sudden, the whole world was watching Branson.
What's been done over the past year? Coming up on Color 10 News.
Thank you for tuning in at 6. You're joining us live near the Branson Bell on Table Rock Lake. It is the same place where 17 people died exactly a year ago today when a duck boat capsized on rough waters there. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Morano.
And I'm Chrystal Blair. Tonight we look back at what exactly happened last summer when a quick-moving storm rolled in and tragically took the lives of several family members.
But we're also looking forward at the lessons learned from this terrible accident. We have team coverage coming for you over the course of the next hour. Our Jesse Inman is in Branson at Cox Medical Center. Over the last several months, we spoke with a number of first responders and workers who worked that night and shared their memories, their heartbreaking memories of this tragic accident. We'll hear from Jesse in a moment.
Plus, Heather Lewis is in our Color 10 studio with a preview of what you can expect during this 1 hour special on the duck boat tragedy. Heather?
Well, Chrystal, we have a lot of material to cover in the next 60 minutes. Tonight, not only will you hear the stories of several key witnesses who saw the boat go down, but we'll also give you the latest details on the criminal charges and investigation into the sinking of Stretch Duck 7. We're also going to check in with state and local lawmakers on what's being done to prevent tragedies like this from ever happening again. Plus, we'll fill you in on where dozens of civil lawsuits stand against the company that owned the duck boat, Ripley Entertainment. Finally, one major aspect of this anniversary is how people are dealing with the mental trauma of an event like this today. Many organizations like Cox Health have now added counselors to manage people's emotions. That's just a small taste of everything we have tonight. Joe and Chrystal, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Heather. As we begin tonight, we look back 1 year ago. There were many who were on scene that watched the horror of this tragedy unfold.
That's right. So we want you to listen now as some of those who tried to help recall what they saw, felt, heard, and feared that fateful night.
You know, that July 19th, that evening, I was actually at home. I was not on call as a chief officer. And we got paged, and I was listening. I always listen to the pages, but I was listening to it, and they paged our water rescue team and for a capsized duck with 30 people in the water. And I think it was pretty clear to everybody right off the get-go that it's going to be a major event.
When I arrived on scene that night, the thing I vividly remember, it was complete chaos. The biggest thing that I had a real hard time understanding is we had victims from the duck sitting there, a very small number. And I knew how many had went to the hospital already, and my biggest obstacle in my mind I couldn't come over is where was the rest of them?
Our initial response was we sent one ambulance and a supervisor. During their response out there, before they ever got on scene, we started receiving more reports, and then we started receiving reports directly from the showboat. So almost firsthand reports that it was a duck boat, that we were looking at potentially upwards of 30 to 35 people. At that point, we initiated our mass casualty response plan. When they got on there, they quickly realized how devastating the scene was potentially going to be. They found several patients in cardiac arrest with CPR in progress. and then more and more reports that someone else had been pulled ashore.
We didn't realize just how many people either needed minimal treatment, no treatment, or were dead. And that was highly unusual. And then some people were pulled out of the water that were not alive. And you know, at the very end, it turned out we had obviously the 17 fatalities. That's obviously a very high number of fatalities.
We had several people, but I was expecting a lot more people. It was unfortunate that we had more that passed away that made it to the hospital for us to care for, and that's always a difficult thing to swallow. You know, we're in the job of helping and saving lives, and when there's not that many to save, it makes for a very difficult day.
We were anticipating receiving a large amount of patients, but we did not. And the reason why was because so many had drowned. And that was it was just very saddening for us.
Once we knew that we had unattended minors, as the patients were rolling in, we realized that some of them didn't have adults with them. Then we had to work on getting staff members to stay available to sit with those patients so that they weren't alone. At one point, after my patient found out that his mom and his brother were confirmed deceased, he wanted to tell me about the story of the day that his brother was born. So as emotional as it was, he told me that story, and all I needed to do in that moment was just to sit and listen.
I couldn't wrap my head around it at all. Just the initial thought of the duck boat capsizing, you know, just trying to figure out what was going on, and then when the numbers started coming in, it was just sobering and so staggering that you just couldn't wrap your head around it.
Now, as you just heard, 17 souls were taken by the storm that night. Then afterwards, the boat was lifted out of the bottom of the lake and taken out of the water. Days after the tragedy came memorials and funerals for those victims. 31 people in total were on that boat, including 2 crewmen. Many of them were families that were torn apart. Some made it out of the water, and some did not.
That's right. The Stone County Sheriff's Office released the names of the deceased the day after. William Asher and Rosemarie Haman were visiting from St. Louis. Janice and William Bright from Higginsville were celebrating their 45th wedding anniversary. Their 3 daughters survived. Leslie Dennison from Illinois died. Her granddaughter made it off the boat. Lance and his father, Steve Smith from Osceola, Arkansas, passed away. His daughter survived, and wife was back on shore during that ride. And 9 members of the Coleman family were killed on the boat, including 3 children. The mother, Tia, plus a young boy lived. And finally, the duck boat captain, Bob Williams, died.
Now, fast forward to today. What have we learned from this tragedy over the last year? How could something like this could have happened? And who was responsible?
There are still a lot of questions. Tonight we hope to provide you with some answers. We want to start off by getting an update of the current NTSB investigation that's still going on from this accident from a year ago. And for that, we check in for the first time with Jesse Inman from Cox Medical Center in Branson. Jesse, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Joe and Chrystal. We reached out to a spokesperson for the NTSB who told us, plain and simple, the investigation is still ongoing. Now, an official report of what caused Stretch Duck 7 to sink may not be released until this fall. And a week after the incident, last July, the NTSB released a preliminary report, and in that it detailed on board what we were really looking at on board. Multiple cameras were on board that duck boat, and it recorded video and audio for about 41 minutes, plus dozens of cell phones. Witness interviews and weather data are also being reviewed. Now, as of today, 3 people have been indicted by a federal grand jury for crimes related to the sinking of that duck boat. The 3 employees facing charges all worked for Ripley Entertainment. We're talking about Kenneth McKee here from Verona, was one of the boat captains on Stretch Duck 7 who survived the accident that night. He's facing 17 charges of negligence and misconduct. Now, state attorneys claim McKee failed to do the following: failed to assess severe weather before entering the water, instruct passengers to put on flotation devices, raise the boat's side curtains, which blocked the emergency exits, and finally failed to order an abandoned ship call on that. Now, another aspect of the crimes were the radio calls back and forth to shore. And that's where Curtis Lanham from Galena and Charles Baltzel of Kirbyville come into play here. They face dozens of charges surrounding the supervision of the duck boat that night. The indictment says that Baltzel directed the vessel into the water with lightning in the area and didn't communicate the nature of the storm. Meanwhile, Lanham helped manage the operation of the duck boats, and he's accused of failing to establish and enforce severe weather training requirements, also allowing the boat to operate out of compliance with Coast Guard inspections. And court documents also say that Lanham created a work environment that promoted profit over safety by not hiring enough staff to monitor situations just like this, and we all remember it so well. But right now, as far as the criminal charges, that's the latest that we have on this incident. Of course, with that wrapping up here in the fall, we'll definitely be keeping up with that. Joe and Chrystal.
All right, Jesse Inman this morning, thank you so much. We're just getting started here on Taken by Storm. Up next, we remember some of the survivors from this tragedy.
I've never had to recover from something like this. I don't know if there is a recovery from it. I don't know. I'm going to do it.
You may remember Tia Coleman, who lost 9 members of her family, including her own children. We'll update you on her ongoing legal battle, including the battles of other people who lost family members and are suing Ripley. Please stay with us.